Today I'm gonna show you my whole Septum spike collection. I already did a video with my 6mm or 2 gauge Septum spikes, but since then I have downsized, so these are all gonna be 4mm or 6 gauge. The very first piece I got in this size was the green spike that I'm wearing today.
Very stylish, very aggressive, very Miyamoto.
I already talked about it in my previous video, so I thought we'd skip that one today and just look at the new ones I got. And except for the very last piece, these are all from the same seller, and I'll link him below as always. But let's start with the glass pieces, because they are similar to the one I'm wearing.
Get on with it, dumb shit!
So first we have a light blue spike. Baby blue or sky blue, I'm not sure what you want to call it. It definitely looked a lot brighter in the online photos, but I still really liked how this one turned out, because it's almost like a neon bright blue in the photo, but in real life it's more dull, almost like a dusty blue sometimes, depending on the light. I think the light color suits me a lot better than a dark one would. This one also has the exact same shape as my green spike, in that it gradually turns into a point at the ends, as opposed to a very narrow tip, as you'll see with the next piece, and that is the Lavender spike. This one I was also really curious to see what it looked like in real life, because the picture was just so bright and neon looking. It sort of reminded me of the opalite stone in some ways, and I wasn't sure if this color would suit me that well, because I don't really do a lot of warm colors on myself, and usually I'm not really into purple either. But this was one of the colors he had in stock that kind of intrigued me. I just really wanted to see what it looked like to compare it to the photo. Because the blue spike turned out to be a little bit more dull and less bright than the photo online, I was hoping that would be the case with the purple one as well, which it was. I'd say the Lavender name is spot on for the color, and even though it's not as bright as the photo, it definitely has that kind of fluorescent neon quality to it still. And I'll show you the shape of this one compared to the blue, because the tips of this one is definitely more angled and sharp, with a very pointy tip compared to the other ones. It's almost like a pencil shape. The last spike I have in glass you might also have seen before in my previous video, because I had it in 6mm as well. It was my favorite spike with the clear glass and gold glitter.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
Since I downsized, I really wanted to have it in my new size as well. But sadly, when I received this, it looked a lot different than my original one. I did contact the seller, but I've not gotten a response yet. But I'm hoping that he will reship me a similar one, but I might end up just receiving a refund. But I wanted to include it in this video anyways, just so you can see what it looks like. So like I said before, I don't really know how these are made, but it seems to be a flat layer of gold in the middle. But when you turn it sideways, it then looks like the glitter is all over, like my previous spike. But for this one, it almost looks like everything was poured at one side and then slightly tilted, so that it kind of progressed towards the middle but didn't quite reach the other end. So one end of this spike has like a ton of gold glitter, while the other side almost doesn't have anything at all. It's maybe not too bad of an issue from the front, although I think they are quite uneven, and I just personally hate that for something as symmetrical as a septum spike that's like in the middle of your face. So I wouldn't really wear this one as is. I just really wish that it looked like my previous one. I think after receiving all the colored glass spikes, I did fall in love with those a little bit more. So I'm not too bummed out if I don't get a replacement, because now I already have 3 other spikes in glass anyways. The last spike I got from this seller is in stone, or so I think.
What does that mean?
I'm not really sure if this is real stone.
Maybe you are inexperienced.
It's kind of hard to tell in person. I don't really remember the name of this one. I think it might be Howlite, but it is the white marble kind of looking stone, and it looks very similar to the blue turquoise stone as well. And I know the fake turquoise is very popular among jewelry makers, so I kind of feel like this is the white version of that. But honestly, I'm just not experienced enough with this type of stone to know if it's real or not. Either way, it did look exactly like the photo he had online, so I'm quite satisfied with the piece. I wasn't really sure if I was going to like this design on myself though, but I just kind of wanted to try a spike in stone since I don't have that from before. Also because I had a white cat's eye spike in the 6mm that I ended up returning. So I thought I'd just try a different white spike in more of a matte situation. Nothing really negative to say about this spike, I just don't think I fancied this design over the simple colored glass spikes. And now for the very last spike that is not from this seller. This one I bought off Etsy. I had always wanted to try a wood spike or maybe horn.
Weird looking thing with horns on it. Made of green ivory or some shit.
I think he offered these in bloodwood as well, which is the darker red wood that I had in some pinchers a while back. But I'm trying to go for the type of lighter colors for myself. So when I saw this, I think it's Olivewood, I just had to have it. I was also a bit skeptical to this piece because I've tried some wooden plugs before and they were not great. But those were the really cheap ones from Crazy Factory. And I think those were birch. No, not birch. Bök.
I looked it up in the dictionary. It's not in there.
And I have read online that there is a significant difference between low and high quality wood when it comes to body jewelry. I saw that this seller on Etsy kind of specialized in wooden body jewelry, also because of the steep price. This seemed like a very high quality wooden item, so I really just took the chance and hoped for the best. Including shipping, I think I paid almost 400 Norwegian kroner.
$4,000 for a beer mug? That's ridiculous.
Which is maybe like $40 or even $45, depending on the conversion rate. So definitely on the more expensive side, especially for what it is. But when I received this one, I could definitely tell the difference in quality between this piece and the wood that I tried from Crazy Factory, because it is two different worlds. So the ones from Crazy Factory were just kind of super dry, raw kind of wood that's not really been processed, if that's the word. And like, it seemed no matter how much I oiled it, it was always just super dry. And I even had to stop using it because I eventually started to rip my skin with it when pulling the wood spike out because of all the friction.
She fell out of bed and died right here.
But this wooden spike is just so, I don't know if it's like sanded down or polished or whatever, it's just so super smooth. It almost feels as smooth as the glass spikes. So I'm just very impressed with the quality of this wood and just so happy to finally have a good quality wood piece that I'm able to use. And it's such a light, subtle color as well. And I feel like this one really goes well with my type of colors, like my skin tone and my hair. So I have a feeling that I'm going to use this one very often. I forgot to mention that I actually got a custom length on this wooden spike. All the spikes I ordered from the eBay seller, I chose a 35mm length. So I asked the seller how long the wooden spike was, and he said 38. And even though that's really close to 35, even just a few millimeters can make a big difference when it comes to Septum jewelry. When you purchase the item, you can write a message to the seller. So I asked him if he could do a 35mm length, if possible. And I was really stoked to see that he was able to. Just keep that in mind if you check out the link for this. If this clip looks a little bit different, it's because I had to insert it later on. I totally forgot that I had another Septum spike.
Did you want some more?
Why would we stop there?
I've had it for a long while now, so I kind of stored it away. But I got a second spike off Etsy. I knew that I just had to have a very plain basic silver spike, just because I love all silver jewelry. And I found this seller who had a real silver spike, not just steel, but like real silver, for a concernable cheap price. But it actually seemed to be the real deal. It's not only super shiny, but also very heavy compared to my other spikes. There is like one minor flaw to this, and it's that the ends are a little bit uneven. One side is more sharp than the other, and also one end has a bit of a sharper angle than the other. But it was stated in the description that this was a handmade item, so it's probably hard to get it like completely perfect. But it is a very minor difference, and I'm not even sure it's noticeable while wearing it. And because it is quite heavy, it's definitely a must to wear O-rings with this on each side, because it tends to move around a lot. And I'll link both the Etsy sellers down below as well. So those were all the spikes I had to show you today. Really my whole Septum collection right now. 6 spikes including the one I'm wearing. Technically 5, since I'm probably not gonna wear the glitter one. But we'll see if I eventually get a replacement. Remember to leave me a comment down below telling me which spike was your favorite. Subscribe if you aren't already so you don't miss out on my next videos. As always, a huge thank you to my one patron Elliot for making these videos happen. And then I hope to see you in my next one. Vi ses!